There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University. If you are a college-bound teen or a champion of one, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. We're running a special series interviewing real teens with real dreams who've been admitted to college. Wherever you are tuning in from, you are definitely in for a treat. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, author of the book Be Committed, Get Admitted, and the founder of Dream College Academy and College Essay Bootcamp. Grab your beverage of choice and a notepad because you're going to hear some golden nuggets from our star today, Saraphina. Today, you're going to learn what she did right, any regrets that she might have, and she will reveal which dream college she's headed for this fall. Okay. Oh my goodness. So should we go by Sarah or Saraphina? It's up to you.
It doesn't matter. I think we can go by Sarah today.
Okay, Sarah today. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we called you when you were in essay boot camp. But sometimes, now that you're a graduate of high school, you're like, maybe I'm going to go by Saraphina. Okay, well, I'm going to let you jump in. And right away, people just like to know sort of who you are, like where you're from, like where you hail from, literally, because we have students from all over the country, and what high school you go to, and just share just anything a little bit about yourself, Sarah.
So I am a senior at Bishop Montgomery in Torrance, California. I actually just had my last day of school this past Thursday. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you must feel really great. Did you go to, I think there's usually like a grad night and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Thursday, we had a senior sunset. So the whole class got together, which was really fun. And it was really cool seeing everyone together. And then we had grad night the following night, and we didn't get home till 4 a.m.
Oh, those are the days. I mean, I definitely still remember grad night from high school. So things that, we all remember, we have that we tied together, we all go to prom or grad night or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. I know your graduation is coming up very, very soon. So that's great. We're going to start with the question of, everyone who's going through this process now, right? Not those of you who are now seniors and beyond, but if you're watching or listening to this podcast now, you probably have a son or a daughter who's going to be entering in this process. So Sarah, what they like to know is sort of what colleges, just share sort of all of the colleges that you were admitted to. And if you want to share anything about sort of the merit aid that you were granted, so share that.
Okay. So originally when I was figuring out what schools I wanted to apply to, it wasn't necessarily like the name schools, it was more so like which schools ranked nationally with the major that I wanted at that time. So I went from wanting to apply to 23 schools to actually only 11. The schools that I got admitted to were American University, Loyola University of Chicago, Gonzaga University, Grand Canyon University, Arizona State, and Northeastern. And with Loyola Chicago, I got $26,000 per year, and that was without financial aid. And then Gonzaga University, I got $24,000 a year. And then Grand Canyon, I had gotten 11, which was about the same amount as Arizona State as well.
Okay. Well, what I love what you just said is that you weren't looking for sort of all of the sort of named schools, but and it also sounds like you were looking for a good list that you would have success,
Right.
that would be successful. And also, I don't know if it was purposeful, but you got a lot of merit aid. So certainly not trying to bring that down, that price tag, if you can, is helpful. So was that one of your criteria, is to try to find a few schools that might offer merit aid?
Honestly, I didn't really think I would get merit scholarships. So seeing that when I had applied to the schools, I was like, oh wow, like I didn't realize that I would get to have merit scholarships. So for me, it wasn't really necessarily that, but I think definitely like once it came down to the schools that I was deciding, the scholarship definitely came into play.
Oh, that's good. That's good little golden nugget. I mean, that's great. So it sounds like Sarah didn't realize what a rock star she was ahead of time. So that's great. When you get merit aid, it really says a lot about who you are and what they read in your application. So let's dive into sort of, the last 4 years. Again, those who are listening and watching are, likely not students and parents who have already passed this point that you have, but rather entering into this college admission journey. So looking back on the last 4 years, what did you do right? And what advice would you have for those students who are maybe, just starting high school, or at least in the first couple of years?
I would say what I did right was that I felt like I had a purpose throughout high school, but I also, the activities that I was a part of, it wasn't just because it looked good on college apps. I genuinely did it because I was interested or something I was wanting to be a part of. And then I found what I wanted to do. And then I was able to have leadership opportunities because of that. And I learned different like life skills, which I think you don't really get to learn all the time. So I think that's something that I did right. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that we met when you were still a sophomore, I want to say.
Mhm.
And I felt really strongly even then you really had a purpose. You had a very clear definition of like what was important to you and how you chose the things you got involved in.
Mhm.
So sort of along those same lines, we're going to sort of blend in the next question, which is sort of
Mhm.
share a little bit about, especially the youth and government piece. So I've said that out loud for you, but that was really a big piece of who you are. And, you've done it for several years. So share with the audience, what is youth and government? And if you can share some of those life skills that you
Mhm.
talked about that you learned that are so incredible.
Yeah, so for youth in government, it runs through the YMCA's, the local YMCA's actually throughout California, but also throughout the United States. And so you can start as a sixth grader. And so the middle school program is a Model United Nations. So youth in government is just a big name for the different types of branches of government that we have in the United States. And so I was able to dip my toes in the United Nations as well as our state legislation and mock government, mock trial, things like that. And the difference between a mock trial or a mock government compared to youth in government was that we were actually spending a lots of time putting ourselves in the shoes of actual state, um, and we were able to create bills, and it wasn't just like, oh, here's a case and I'm going to try to win. We were actually making bills and proposals, and they sat on the governor's desk of California. And so some of the things that you see around you was created by delegates from youth and government. So that was a very big part of my life. I was in it since sixth grade. And so because of that, I was able to get out of my shell. And I was also able to figure out what I wanted to do and my purpose. I wasn't really good at talking to people. And I kind of just like let my friend kind of like lead the way. And then I decided, okay, let's run for position. So I ended up running for Secretary General, which is the highest statewide position you could run for. And I did that when I was in seventh grade, so I could serve my eighth grade year, and I actually won. And when I was figuring out what to do, you have to pick a platform. So I chose human trafficking, which I didn't realize at first what correlation it had to me and how I can tell other people like its importance to me. And it wasn't just a platform to run, like it meant something to me. And so I'm adopted, and I'm adopted from China. And so realizing that I could have been one of those girls in China, um, I wanted to show the importance that it was to me that we don't take our lives for granted, and that the people who do feel like they don't feel like they have worth, that I want to be that person that, they know they matter. And so because of that, that's kind of been like my value to continue throughout high school, like having a purpose to be there for other people in different aspects. And so ever since seventh grade, I've been able to hold different positions in youth and government, which have helped me become who I am and also helped me build relationships with people all throughout California. So it's really cool to see because now I went from just seeing them maybe once a year to going to school with them now in college. So yeah.
Wow. Was Sarah, you speak so eloquently now. I can't even imagine that you were ever shy, you know. It doesn't seem possible. But what Sarah is talking about, for those who are listening, and if you think about one of the biggest gifts you can give your child, or by the time they graduate, is to know what their purpose is, and to have that sort of very, that very clear, find that clarity that Sarah did. It's interesting. So I think you said that you ran on this platform, human trafficking, but it wasn't crystallized perfectly for you right then, right? But it's crystallized over time. And that's because of your work with youth and government?
I would say at first, like someone brought the idea of human trafficking to me, and at first I was like, oh, I knew a little bit about it from watching like certain TV shows that I really loved. And then the more I read about it, and then the more I specified it in relations to children and just girls and like people in China, things like that, I started reading and I realized like how much opportunity I was given and how lucky I was, and that I shouldn't take my life for granted.
Mhm.
So yeah, and definitely youth and government was a place where I could continue that, and people knew what I stood for and understood who I was, and I found a voice. I found my voice, and I hope to be that voice for other people. Yeah.
Oh, what a gift you are to others. Oh, so good, Sarah. Okay, so share anything else that you did right or well. Like, I definitely would call what you just talked about your coolness factor, the youth and government and the platform and the high levels of leadership that you took on in youth and government. That was really something that stood out for you. But I know that you listed some other things, that you took some community college classes and you were the editor-in-chief. So just for the sake of those who are listening, what other things were you involved in, and how do you think that helped fill out the rest of your application?
So I definitely did sports. I did a lot more leadership, I think, than most students. A lot of students, I think, try to be very well-rounded with academics, leadership, and then sports, things like that. I think for me, my path was more so being a leader. So I was editor-in-chief this past year for the yearbook, but my prior year I was a designer, a design editor, and so I was able to create the yearbook cover last year and as well this year. And so being in yearbook, um, even though it's an extracurricular, it's also a class at my school, but that was also somewhere where I learned a leadership, but also life skills because I was learning how to run a business. And same with Key Club. I was the secretary last year for my school, and then I became president this year. And um, I realized how much, like, if I have a goal, I didn't realize like how much, like, if I want something, I will stick to it. And so with Key Club, I wanted to increase service hours for students to be a part of, and I wanted to increase engagement. And so we went from 60 members to 115 this year. We went over 2,000 service hours and more compared to when we had 800 last year. And then this past year in the yearbook, we actually turned our book in late last year. And so this year it was a goal to turn it in early. So we actually turned it in a week early, which was really cool. So things like that. I definitely learned how to continue my relationship with other people. I think that's the coolness factor, is that I've learned that I'm very adaptable, but I also can be determined when I need to get something done. And I think throughout my application that showed that all of the extracurricular activities that I was doing, it was for purpose. So when I did Key Club, it was for service, and it wasn't because, everyone needs service hours. It was because I wanted to teach other people that you need to serve others with a passion and a purpose. And so to have multiple different service opportunities, it gives students a chance to figure out what they want to help with, and not just, oh, I need to get it done, I'll just come to that. It's, oh, wow, I really want to take part in it and change lives. And so the different ways that Key Club was able to provide service hours, it helped people who were more on the active side. They could go, to the beach and clean up, or people who were very involved in art and very creative, they could create cards and things like that for the homeless, or just for people who are in homes right now and can't see their family members. So different things like that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. What a leader you are. Okay. So I love that you said that you turned in the yearbook early by a week. That's huge, because I know all those deadlines and all those pieces that have to come together for sure. But what you mentioned in the Key Club and your goals and trying and hitting those goals, and you nearly doubled the participation of the membership, right? Just about 100%. You increased it by 100%. That's huge. But here's something I'm not sure if you just said that you meant to say, or you are helping other people find their coolness factor. So we often talk about a coolness factor is when you merge something you love to do with something you have to do, right? So a lot of students, have to do community service hours, or, something like that, or, even if you have to work or you have to whatever. But if you can find, like, if it's art, like, do something with art, if it's that you want to be, you love the beach and you want to go spend, sometimes people say, nobody has to pay me or give me service hours to go spend time at the beach. So if I can, if I have to do service hours and spend time at the beach. So that's what you're doing, is you're helping people merging those things and finding matching what they love and naturally enjoy doing with something that they have to do anyway. So that's really cool. That's really cool. I love that. Oh, good for you. Oh my gosh, super excited. Okay, so the question I always have is for everyone is to, with all candor and humility, if you can share, if you're comfortable sharing something that you regret or you wish you would have done differently, or anything that you can, enlighten others.
Yeah. So definitely there's a lot of things I wish I could have done. When I had said, like, I really didn't think I would get any merit scholarship, I really meant that, because my grades are not, as like excellent as other students are. And so I also, too, freshman year, because I was involved in so much my 8th grade year, I wanted to take a break, but I realized that by taking a break, it hurt me. And I realized how many opportunities I missed out, and how much time and money my parents put for my education and for the opportunities that I just didn't take. And so I really tried to get more involved again. And I didn't realize, like, because I did that, what high school would be like, because I always thought, oh, I have next year. But then COVID hit and I lost that opportunity to do that. So when I came back, or when we were about to start going back to in person again, I really took those opportunities. But because of that, I got involved in too much. So I didn't know how to time manage as well. But I also I was stretching myself too thin, and there weren't people who were willing to help. So I kind of had to take responsibilities on my own. And because of that, I had to prioritize my extracurricular activities instead of my academics. And so some of my academics fell behind, especially junior year, because freshman and sophomore year, my grades were good. First semester of my junior year, it was also good, but towards the end of my second semester, there was just a lot of things happening with me personally. And then on top of that, to maintain my extracurriculars and what I needed to get done, it just got really overwhelming. And so I wish that I had learned a little time management a little earlier, and that it's okay not to do everything. But also too, that I didn't take opportunities my freshman year. And so I think that was something. And also too, because I had a goal, I don't know why I did this, but I tried to take summer school. I tried to take 2 classes over the summer. I took French 3 yeah, I took French 3 and honors pre-calc in the same year, in the
Okay.
same summer. So I think that's another thing is that while trying to get ahead, I didn't realize how to do it the smartest way. And so I would say, like, if you want to try to take as many classes as you can, really like consider the community colleges because you do get that college credit on top of your high school credit. Because APs are not always guaranteed, is that as I learned. And so yeah, that's kind of the tough part because you want to take your APs because, you know, it shows that you're challenging yourself. But at the same time, like sometimes you can't even use that for college. But I think it's definitely a good experience. I think that's definitely something. And I think in high school, I think another thing is just like I was so caught up in like what I needed to get done, I missed out on a lot. But I also learned this year, like work hard, play hard. Like freshman to junior year, I worked hard. And so senior year, I had the best senior year ever. Like I honestly like I reflected like last week looking at my photos and I was like, wow, I really like I really lived high school.
Oh,
So I do live, and I also too to live with no regrets.
yeah.
And also too, like I think a lot of people forget that what we think is like the end of the world, it's only that day. So I really try to remember the like yesterday was history,
Yeah.
tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So I really try to live by that. Yeah.
That's a good quote. Now, this is what I heard you say. I heard you say that, COVID hit in your time in high school. And so, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So you wish you would have maybe gotten a jump start on some of those opportunities before, because then they were not available to you, a little bit later. That's the first thing I heard you say. And the second thing I heard you say was to understand that the academic, if you're trying to get ahead academically, to space it out and sort of really understand and learn how to manage all of that, because you can space it out. So I heard those two golden nuggets from you. So good advice. Now, my fourth question, before we get to talking about where you're headed, but my fourth question is, what was important to you when you were looking for a college? What were the things that were top of your list that you really value? Majors, you can speak about anything, but what was important to Sarah?
Yeah. So for me, I get into phases where I start like obsessing with my life, and the way that my family's always been is that like we always plan for the future. So freshman year, I planned out my entire 4 years of high school. Um, so because of that, I planned out or had an idea of what I wanted to do in college. And at that time, I wanted to dip my toes in criminology and things like that. So I really looked into schools about that. But then when my friend actually took me to the East Coast and we toured some schools, and then I kind of figured out things like that, I found my love again for youth in government and where I could best thrive, because I felt like even though I'd been in the program for so long, I felt like certain parts of it just weren't for me because the politics is a crazy world, but that's okay. I've learned that politics is not my path, but I think a form of government is. So
Very,
yeah,
yeah.
I definitely also too looked into, do they require service? Is it a religious school? Like how big or how small the school is, the surrounding areas, what kind of life I was gonna live, or if I can even see myself there. Those are some factors. Yeah.
I remember you guys going on a college trip pretty early on. It was that your sophomore year? The
Yes.
end of sophomore year. So
Yep.
that proved to be helpful. Even if you don't, find your dream school on that trip, whatever you do, you start to know what you're looking for. You start to kind of see.
Definitely.
Oh, it's good advice. Okay, so here's the moment of truth, and you shared earlier where you've been admitted, but share with us where you are headed, what you chose, and give us a little bit, a sense of like why and any some special kind of cool thing about that institution. Go ahead, drum roll.
So I'm going to be attending Northeastern University. So I'm going to be majoring in international affairs and criminal justice.
Wow. Ooh, that's perfect for you. Northeastern is no easy feat to get into. So congratulations. That is a really big coup for you.
Thank you.
Now, so I like to, I love learning about, I now have 3 or 4 students that are at Northeastern now. I think, what are the colors?
It's red and black.
Yep. And what's the mascot? Do you know?
The husky.
The husky. And you mentioned something in your little questionnaire that you love. So what's the cool thing that you love about it?
So one of the things I was looking for at schools was martial arts because that was something that I've always done. And so I wanted to get back into it in college. And Northeastern actually does have a taekwondo team. So I thought that was really cool. And that was one of the main reasons why Northeastern stayed like in my list.
Oh my gosh, that's super cool. I did not know that. So that's, I always love learning little new nuggets about different colleges. For everyone who is watching or listening, one of the things that Northeastern is well known for and has been for years is their internship program. And my understanding is pretty much anyone who, I don't know if it's required, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like it's required that everyone do some kind of job internship before they graduate. So that's been one of the big hallmarks of the institution for years, because, what college can say that pretty much everybody that graduates already has had some kind of internship, some kind of business experience, some kind of job experience. They have the skills that they need that employers are looking for. So that has been something big. So was that important to you, or what do you think about that?
I think it was definitely important to my parents. I think that was one of the main reasons why I chose the school, because I thought it'd be very interesting too, and also too, I can dip my toes into different types of internships, so I knew what I was getting myself into, and so I didn't have to spend 4 years on this degree and then go into the field and be like, oh, I don't want to go in there at all. Instead, I can figure out what I want. And what's nice about Northeastern is that they have combined majors, but they also don't limit you at that. You can kind of make your own major, which is really cool, which I really like. So yeah, things like that.
Yeah. And what's not to love about Boston? Let's not forget that. I often say that if I had to do it over again, knowing what I know now, I might try to choose a school in Boston, because there are, nearly everybody in that, I don't know how many square miles, are all your age. They're all college students. There's so many. So chances of finding great friends and, relationships that you'll have for a lifetime, that's really great there. So, Saraphina, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. It's been so nice to be able to reconnect with you after, you've been, so I should say that Sarah is an alumni camper from Essay Bootcamp. She did Essay Camp as a rising junior. So we don't always have, but every year, I should say, we have at least a few kids who are like rock stars and want to get a head start on the process. So she did that. We also did a consultation with your whole family when you were young to try and get you squared away. So anyway, okay, hold on. We'll wave goodbye. I'm going to just do the little roundup here for our show. My goodness. Wow. Okay. So thanks to Sarah for being with us today. Applying to college is no easy task. So she has been courageous and strong throughout the process. And of course, courageous and strong to be here and very candid, telling you and giving you some golden nuggets. If you are watching and you want to learn more about the college application process, head on over to my website to download your free gift from me. It's drcynthiacolon.com, DrCynthiaCol like Larry, O-N like Nancy. Okay, and we would love it if you would share, subscribe, join. If this episode has in any way fueled your confidence or helped build your own dreams, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe and comment below and send a question. If you have any question for me or for Sarah, we'll be sure to get back to you. And if you have a question about Essay Bootcamp, please let us know. Parents, you can also join the conversation on our Facebook group, Destination University, just like the podcast. It's open to all parents, no matter your teen's grade level. That's all I have for you, my dreamers. Remember, if you are a dreamer and a doer, welcome to Destination University, where college dreams really do come true. Join us every week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, make it a happy and sunny day. Bye for now. All right, Sarah, just wave to our watchers and listeners. Fantastic. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.